Hello, welcome to the Virtual Enrichment Series. Today, we are focusing on hunting as part of the predation sequence. I'm Jen Friedline, a certified behavior consultant, a certified family dog mediator, and a certified professional dog trainer. I'm the founder of Jen's Dogs, specializing in behavior support and enrichment for dogs with big emotions. I advocate for force-free, relationship-based training, and I help families build calm, connected relationships with their dogs through thoughtful enrichment and behavior support. Let's start by talking about what enrichment is. Enrichment means meeting all of an individual dog's physical, mental, and emotional needs and empowering them to perform not only species-typical behaviors, but breed-typical and self-typical behaviors in a way that is safe, healthy, and approachable for everyone involved. Our goal is to build routines and opportunities for dogs to engage in their natural and instinctual behaviors so that our domestic dogs who live in captivity with us and lack these opportunities can avoid behavioral challenges that come from unmet needs. The Family Dog Mediation Program is built on the concept that dogs stand on four legs. And LEGS is an acronym for Learning, Environment, Genetics, and Self. Just like anything standing on four legs, they need balance. Two of these legs we can influence, and two of these legs we cannot. We can influence learning, and we can influence environment. We cannot change genetics, and we should not try to change self. Learning and environment are our responsibility. As guardians, it is up to us to adjust the environment so the dog can be successful and to teach them in a way that makes sense for who they are. And part of adjusting the environment is providing enrichment. Because these dogs are living in captivity with us, they are not outperforming the jobs they were bred to do. So if we do not provide these outlets, we are setting them up to fail. And this becomes even more important when we look at how much the dog's world has changed. Even in the last 10 years, dogs have less freedom, smaller spaces, more structure, and more expectations. We want them to go everywhere with us, and we want them to behave perfectly in human environments. But we are not always giving them the opportunity to meet the needs that they were bred for. And that is where disconnect happens. When we provide enrichment that is based on breed-specific and self-specific needs, we are actually altering the environment in a way that allows the dog to be successful. We are giving them opportunities to practice their intrinsic behaviors in a way that is safe and appropriate. We are not trying to remove the behavior, we are trying to give it a place to go. At Jen's Dogs, we focus on 6 core categories for classifying enrichment. These categories are social, interaction with people, dogs, or other species, physical, moving the body, calming, soothing the nervous system, foraging and scavenging, a focus on using the nose, problem solving, a focus on using the brain, and the predation sequence, which utilizes instinct. All 6 of these categories matter, and our goal is always to create balance across them. As you are developing your enrichment plan for your dog, you will want to make sure that you are including all of the core categories based on what your dog's needs are. It makes it easier when you can layer in all the categories, but your primary focus should be the category you are working towards. The predation sequence is intact in all dogs, although it has been suppressed or accentuated depending upon the ancestral job your dog was bred for. Through selective breeding, dogs have been shaped to perform specific roles alongside humans. The full predation sequence starts with orient, then eye lock, stalking, chasing, the grab bite, the kill bite, which is often called the shake bite, dissect, and consume. Not all dogs complete the full sequence every time they engage with their predation, but all dogs express parts of it. Today, our focus is on hunting dogs, so it's important to understand what makes a hunting dog. Through the Family Dog Mediation Framework, which is developed by Kim Brophy, dogs are grouped based on purpose, behavioral tendencies, and function. This framework looks at how dogs interact with their environment and which parts of the predation sequence have been selectively amplified. So instead of just labeling a dog, we're asking, how does this dog function and what were they designed to do? The functional role of a hunting dog is that they have been bred to engage in specific parts of the predation sequence to help humans locate, capture, or manage resources. In many cases, this meant helping us find food. In other cases, it meant protecting resources by eliminating pests like rodents. The predation sequence has also been modified in many of these dogs. So instead of completing the full sequence, they may stop at retrieve or point or bay, depending on what their job required. Under the American Kennel Club framework, hunting dogs are typically categorized into sporting and hound groups. Sporting dogs include retrievers and spaniels, focusing on flushing and retrieving. Hound dogs include scent and sight hounds, focusing on tracking and chasing. This framework is helpful, but it is more categorical and less focused on behavioral function. Hunting enrichment matters because we are meeting breed-typical behavior. Your dog has been bred for thousands of years to perform specific behaviors, and those needs do not disappear just because their environment has changed. When we provide hunting enrichment, we are allowing them to fulfill intrinsic needs that support emotional regulation and reduce internal conflict. Dogs are not prepared for early retirement. Hunting enrichment also reduces arousal and spillover behavior. That energy that is reserved for their job does not just go away. If it doesn't have an outlet, it builds. When it builds, we start to see big, over-the-top, out-of-control behaviors like zoomies, obsession, and the inability to settle. By giving that energy somewhere to go, we lower baseline arousal and reduce frustration, which allows dogs to think more clearly. It also builds clarity and communication. When we provide structured outlets for hunting behaviors, dogs begin to understand when those behaviors are appropriate. Everyone needs work time and off time. If it's always off time, dogs will try to create work for themselves. Hunting instinct can show up as problem behavior in a lot of different ways. You might see fixation on wildlife, bikes, or moving objects, an inability to disengage, constant staring or scanning of the environment. You might also see chasing squirrels or birds, especially on walks. You may see dogs constantly needing something in their mouth, like grabbing clothing, toys, or even your hands. You might see shredding or destroying objects with dogs that part of the sequence has been suppressed or modified. You may also notice difficulty settling, restlessness, or heightened arousal, especially outdoors or around movement. When these needs go unmet, we tend to see increased frustration and reactivity. We see displacement behaviors like jumping, barking, and mouthing, destructive behaviors like shredding, digging, and chewing. We see obsessive or repetitive patterns, pacing, scanning, or fixation. Dogs may also have difficulty focusing or responding to cues because their brain is pulled towards that unmet need. They may begin to create their own jobs, and those jobs are often not the ones that we would choose. And over time, we can see escalation of chase or grab behaviors. So this is where enrichment meets that need. We allow safe rehearsal of tracking, chasing, retrieving, and capturing. When we provide these outlets, we are giving that energy somewhere to go before it erupts into something that feels problematic. The family dog mediation breed groups are not based on appearance or labels. They are based on purpose, behavioral tendencies, and function. They focus on how dogs interact with their environment and how they meet their own needs when left to their own devices. And this is where hunting becomes really important, because hunting is not just grouped into one or two categories. It is accentuated part of many breed groups. And this differs than traditional kennel club classifications. There are also more categories under the Family Dog Mediation Program. They have 10 different groups. These groups are the bulldog, guardian dog, gun dog, herding dog, natural dog, scent hound, sight hound, terrier, toy dog, and world dog. Today we're going to focus on 5 of these categories as they relate to hunting enrichment, and they are highlighted in bold capital letters. And these are the gun dog, natural dog, scent hound, sight hound, and terrier. As we go through each one, I want you to start thinking about your dog, not just their breed, but how they interact with the world. That is going to tell you what they need. Now let's briefly look at the American Kennel Club framework, because this is what most people are familiar with when they think about dog categories. The AKC framework focuses on the role that the dog performs rather than the whole behavioral repertoire. This framework gives a basic and general understanding of what the dog was bred to do. With this categorical system, it tells us what group the dog belongs to, but it doesn't always tell us how that behavior shows up in the individual dog or which part of the predation sequence are most important to them. Under the American Kennel Club, dogs are grouped into 7 categories. These are sporting, hound, working, terrier, toy, non-sporting, and herding. The sporting group includes gun dogs like retrievers, spaniels, and pointers. And the hound group includes both scent hounds and sight hounds. The terrier group includes vermin hunters. And that's where the Family Dog Mediation framework gives us a little bit more depth and allows us to be more specific. Instead of just labeling the dog, it helps us understand how they function, how they interact with their environment, and how they meet their needs. We can take both of these frameworks and use them together, but always come back to the individual dog in front of us. In this presentation, we will work under the breed categories for the Family Dog Mediation Program. For hunting dogs, the part of the predation sequence that are amplified is the orient, which is when they first notice the target, the eye lock, which is the stare, the stalk, which is slow movement, chase, which is fast movement, and grab bite, which is the point where the teeth hit the object. There is a modified ending to many hunting dogs, and that is modified into a point, a hold, holding the object, or a retrieve, or they have modified that grab bite to be for a soft mouth. We'll begin with the natural dog. This group includes northern and primitive type breeds such as huskies and malamutes. While they are commonly associated with pulling sleds, their historical role extended well beyond that. These dogs were also essential hunting partners, particularly in environments where humans could not easily locate or access food. Their hunting role is survival-based. They were responsible for locating food in harsh environments, often operating independently. These dogs are opportunistic hunters and scavengers, using both exploration and persistence to meet their needs. A defining characteristic of this group is independence. These dogs rely heavily on their own decision-making. What is often interpreted as a lack of responsiveness is more accurately a reflection of their breeding. These dogs were selected to problem solve without constant human input. The predation sequence in this group is often more complete. They have orient, eye lock, chase, grab bite, dissect, and consume are all commonly expressed, as these dogs historically hunted for themselves as well as alongside humans. Enrichment should reflect both independence and full sequence engagement. Scatter feeding across varied environments encourages exploration. Large area movement on a long line supports autonomy while maintaining safety. Multi step problem solving activities and hide and seek games allow for decision making and persistence. These dogs tend to engage most when the activity allows them to explore and solve independently, and if there is the added bonus that it will aid in the human's survival. Next is the gun dog group. This includes breeds such as Labradors, Golden Retrievers, Spaniels, and Pointers. These dogs are commonly found in family environments and are often described as highly trainable and cooperative. Their hunting role is to locate, flush, and retrieve game, most often birds. These dogs were bred to work in close partnership with humans, responding to direction and completing tasks with consistency. Their predation sequence reflects that partnership, as well as their domestication and their ability to follow human direction easily. Orient, eye lock, and in some breeds stalk, followed by a short chase and a controlled, soft mouth modified grab bite. The sequence is intentionally modified to end in retrieve, returning the item to the handler. These dogs are also physically adapted to work in challenging environments. They are willing to enter water, dense brush, and uneven terrain without hesitation, maintaining focus on the task. Enrichment for this group should emphasize cooperation and completion. Structured retriever games, set-based searches with a return component, controlled find and bring back activities all support their functional role. These activities reinforce both the behavioral loop and the human-dog partnership. These dogs are going to want you to be involved in their enrichment activity. Next are the scent hounds. This group includes beagles, basset hounds, coonhounds, foxhounds. These dogs are defined by their use of scent as their primary tool. Their role in hunting is to track and follow scent over long distances. They often work independently and may operate outside of the handler's immediate proximity. Their effectiveness comes from persistence rather than speed. Once engaged in scent tracking, disengagement can be difficult. This is not resistance to training, but rather a reflection of strong task orientation. These dogs were bred to maintain focus on a scent trail until completion. Their predation sequence emphasizes orient and stalk, expressed through scent tracking rather than visual movement. Chase may occur as an extension of tracking, and grab bite is typically less pronounced. The sequence is often modified to end in indication. Bang and holding position signal that the target has been located rather than completing the capture. Enrichment should prioritize scent-based engagement. Tracking trails, extended sniff walks, nose work, and progressive search games allow these dogs to utilize their primary skill set. Access to scent-based activities is often sufficient to meet their behavioral needs. Next are the sight hounds. This group includes greyhounds, whippets, Salukis, and Afghan hounds. These dogs are built for speed, visual acuity, and rapid response to movement. Their hunting role is to visually detect and pursue fast-moving prey. They rely on motion detection rather than scent, and their response to movement is immediate. Their predation sequence is streamlined. Orient, eye lock, and chase are the primary components. The stalk phase is often minimal or absent. The endpoint is typically interception. These dogs are designed to close distance quickly and capture without engaging in extended dissection or consumption. Enrichment should focus on controlled movement and chase. flirt poles, lure-based activities, and structured recall games with a clear start and stop cue allows safe expression of this behavior. Providing opportunities for controlled running is essential for this group. Finally, the terrier group. This includes breeds such as Jack Russell Terriers, Fox Terriers, and Schnauzers. These dogs were bred specifically for vermin control. Their hunting role is to locate, capture, and eliminate small prey. They operate independently and are highly focused on task completion. Their predation sequence is strong and often fully expressed. Orient, eye lock, chase, grab bite, shape bite, and dissect are all commonly present. Enrichment for this group should provide safe outlets for these behaviors. They also can get into smaller spaces because they tend to be smaller dogs, and so they like things that they have to destroy in order to get to the actual hunt. So their enrichment, including dig boxes, shredding activities, burrow simulations, and problem-solving tasks with hidden rewards, allow appropriate expression. Providing structured outlets for destruction helps prevent inappropriate alternatives for these dogs. After understanding breed roles, we now move on to how to apply that information through enrichment. When it's appropriate and feasible, we can provide a full hunting sequence replacement. This allows for safe, complete expression of the entire behavioral sequence. The goal here is to give the dog a clear beginning, middle, and end so they are able to complete the full behavioral loop. Completion of that loop is what creates the job satisfaction. Without that completion, the behavior can feel unfinished, which may contribute to continued seeking, frustration, or spill over into other behaviors. Examples of full sequence replacement include structured fetch and retrieve games, scent work and tracking, scatter feeding, search activities, digging and foraging opportunities, flirt pole work with clear start and stop cues, hold and release patterns, barn hunt, and hidden object searches. Each of these allows the dog to move through a sequence and reach a clear endpoint in a safe and controlled way. Not all dogs need full sequence expression. It is important to prioritize the individual dog's preference and needs over breed tendencies alone. Breed gives us information, but it does not define the whole dog. As you observe your dog, patterns will begin to emerge. These patterns often show up through behaviors that may seem out of context or occur at inappropriate time, such as fixation, chasing, grabbing, or persistent searching. These behaviors are often indicators of which part of the sequence is most meaningful to that individual. Rather than recreating the entire hunting sequence, it is often more effective to meet the need of the specific portion that is strongest. All enrichment should be matched to the dog's ability, the environment available, and overall safety considerations to ensure both effectiveness and success. All right, first up is the eye lock. We do skip orient just simply because orient is just very short and it's just them noticing. The eye lock tends to go on a little bit longer and is a little bit easier to target. This occurs, and the eye lock occurs after the orient, and it is defined by an intense stare and fixation on movement. The dog is visually engaged and actively processing motion in the environment. Enrichment for this stage should focus on structured observation under threshold. This allows the dog to watch and process movement without escalating into higher arousal states. Parallel observation and calm controlled exposure are key components. Examples include calm observations during walks, such as intentional rest stops, watching movement at a distance, including people, dogs, or environmental activity, and observing from contained spaces such as a car or building. Look at that style games and structured observation setups in both home and public environments are also appropriate. The primary categories engaged here are social and problem solving, as the dog is learning to process information and regulate responses. The stalk. This behavior is slow, deliberate movement with the body lowered and a controlled approach toward a target. It requires both physical control and mental focus. Enrichment should focus on controlled movement toward a target, including slow approach games and start and stop movement patterns that reinforce regulation. Examples include slow find it progressions, controlled approach to food or toys, pattern games with movement pauses, and leash walking with intentional slow pacing. This stage engages social and problem solving categories as the dog is coordinating movement with awareness and control. Next up is chase. This is fast pursuit, sudden bursts of speed, and high arousal engagement. This is where energy is released and physical exertion plays a major role. Enrichment should focus on controlled chase outlets, ensuring speed and movement are paired with structure and predictability through clear start and stop points. Examples include flirt pole with rules, recall-based chase and return games, fetch with a structured release, and chase-based toy games on cue. This stage engages physical, social, and problem-solving categories, supporting both movement and interaction. The grab bite. This behavior involves grabbing and holding an object with full mouth engagement and target capture. It is the point in which contact is made. Enrichment should focus on structured grab and release, bite target games with clear rules, and grip and disengagement patterns. Examples include tug with defined start and stop cues, take it and drop it games, hold and carry tasks, and grab and return activities. This stage engages physical, social, and problem-solving categories. Sometimes it's necessary to move away from the predation sequence entirely. The predation sequence activities instinctual and arousal-based systems, which may not be appropriate for dogs who are already struggling with reactivity or regulation. In those cases, the goal is to change the job while still providing it fulfillment. Job satisfaction remains the priority even when the activity changes. Examples of alternative behaviors or activities include pattern games, cooperative care and husbandry preparation, stationing and settle work, shaping and free work, nose targeting and precision tasks, and slow food puzzles or enrichment feeding. These activities support the thinking and learning brain, helping the dog remain regulated while still engaging in meaningful work. Now it is time to hear from you. I will copy this prompt into the chat so that you have it. And we ask that you are welcome to share your dog's breed. Do you see any hunting behaviors? Which stage shows up most frequently? And one enrichment idea you would like to try. At the end of the presentation, we will go through responses and address any questions. It is important to adapt everything in your enrichment plan to the individual dog. Enrichment should always be done under observation. Pay attention not only to how the dog engages during the activity, but also what happens afterward and even into the following day. Effectiveness is measured over time, not just in the moment. It may be necessary to try an activity more than once before determining its value. Some dogs need repetition to understand that they are allowed to engage, especially if the behavior has previously been discouraged. Agency is essential. The activity is for the dog, and they should be allowed to interact with it freely without pressure or expectation. It is also important to recognize that some instincts may have been suppressed through prior training or experience. Reintroducing these opportunities may take time and consistency. Observe for preference and engagement, and adjust difficulty, environment, and setup as needed. Layering enrichment allows multiple needs to be met at once, creating a more balanced and effective enrichment plan. The primary category may be the focus, while others naturally supported alongside it. The primary reinforcer here is job satisfaction. This is achieved through completing the behavior sequence, engaging in meaningful activity, and experiencing emotional fulfillment through purpose. Our closing quote for today is from Allie Bender, who wrote Enrichment for the Real World. And she says, animals engage in behavior to meet needs. When we meet those needs, behavior changes. Thank you for joining us today. Our next session will be May 16th at 10 a.m. and our topic will be body movement and body awareness. If you have any thoughts or questions, we would love to hear from you. You can reach us at info@jensdogs.com, and you can also share any feedback about future sessions or any topics that you would like to see covered. Thank you again for being here, and now on to the chat.